Good Saturday morning. How you doing? Well, this is a kind of like a spoiler um, video. Part number 3 of this cabinet is going to be very, very large in file size and video length. I refuse to make a part 4. I stated that earlier. I did some other stuff on the radio, like the plastic dial, plastic, the glass, plastic, Anyways, as you know, I showed enough of it. It's pretty crappy looking. It's loose in there, and also the design flaw didn't give it a thought about these cleats here, which are in, the top is on. This is the front here. And this is, like I say, a spoiler, so I'm showing you things that when you start watching part 3 of the video, when I do put it out, you're going to see where I didn't do that yet, and I'm discussing it and everything else. And I got to do a lot of editing on it, because as it is now, it's over an hour long. I got to cut it down. I'll show you that in a minute, but I want to touch base on something. Unfortunately, as I told you, and I'm not crying, I just don't have money to buy anything. Okay, I gave up on the Variac. I had somebody offer to send one to me, but I cannot post my email address because I have 2 emails, one at SBC Global, one on Gmail, and they're both my real name, first and last name, and I will not post it. That's me. Some people don't mind. I do. But I gave up on that. I appreciate it. The power supply is going to be scrapped for now. The idea of the power supply is going to be scrapped. I'm using 720p, and I shouldn't be because it's going to take forever to... It's cold out there, so I'm not doing nothing outside. It's going to take forever to render and edit and everything else. I had a guy send me a personal message from the forum I'm on, and says if no one wants to buy that HP 425A, I live in Massachusetts, and I'm not that far from you, 2.5 hours probably, or whatever it is, 2 hours, I don't know. But he says he could pick it up next week, and I had knocked the price down on the forum to $20, just like I offered to you guys. So it's still boxed up. I'm going to let it go for the 20 bucks. I'm not going to worry about building the power supply, because all that's going to do is sit here. I just don't have the money. Variacs are costing average of $50 or more, even though somebody offered. I know there are guys that take gifts. Uncle Doug's radios, he gets a lot of donations, but why, people don't criticize him for getting the donations. But I haven't had any problems so far. Knock on wood. Haven't had any troll problems in a while. But I have had stuff given to me, and I appreciate it, and I offer to pay. And it's very, very difficult now for me to pay anything. It's just don't have the money. I'm struggling now here, so even little things I can't. I stopped buying on eBay. I just don't have the money to do anything. So Saturday morning, which is Saturday, I had my breakfast out. I gotta have something, when I go out. And yes, last week I went to Jewett City and paid $5 for that thing, and so I'll make $15 on it, and at least I don't have to scrap it. Because if I scrap it, I gotta wait to get the money together for a Variac anyways, and then I gotta buy other things. I have most of the electrolytics, so there might still be things that I have to buy, and it's not important. The chances of me getting a radio where it's going to need that high voltage, 450 volt power supply is very, very slim. I mean, not ever get something like that in. Because most of the radios I do get in, when I get any from Bob or someone like that, most of them are a series string sets. So we'll just leave it at that for now. The blower motor is getting worse and worse. I had to bang it twice yesterday. Never had to. It used to be a couple times a week at the most. Today, twice, and I had to bang it harder, boom, 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 and it's hurting my wrist, the arthritis. And I have to get to a point where I got to get one of them rubber hammers and keep it on the passenger side on the floor and bang it. I got an appointment this coming Monday to bring it to the garage that was going to do my radiator for $25 less than my own garage. And he's done him before many times. And he looked at it. I brought it over there a few days ago. And he says, I can do it Monday. I'll give you a price. I'll give you a ride home. Because he's about 5 miles up the road. And if you don't want to, but you don't want to have it done, I'll give you a ride back, and not a problem. So I have no idea what it's going to be. But he looked at it and he says, definitely not more than 2-hour job. He checked it, he ran my controls on the down. He says all your vanes, flappers are working good. The motor yesterday was blowing out, but it's making like a buzzing sound, almost like something's in the squirrel cage, but it's running like slow, and I can come out there and bang it and it'll speed up a little bit sometimes. Today I stopped at Cumberland's. Well, I stopped at the restaurant first, had my breakfast, the car was fine when I started it up so far. It's cold. I had to warm it for about 20 minutes because it takes a long time to get the heat in that car, tell you. And I went to my restaurant in New London, DJ Campus Kitchen is called. Had my hash browns, which are very good, big plate of them, and eggs over easy and toast and coffee. Came out, started the car, blower's not going. Opened the passenger door, bang, bang, bang. About 4 bangs and it comes on. Used to just go on with 1 bang. Oh, I got going home. It stayed on, and got to Cumberland's and picked up my wife's coffee because I won't pay $2.67 at McDonald's up here where we live for the same coffee. I can get a large at Cumberland's for $1 plus tax. So I got her coffee. Well, I went out to the car to start it again. I had to bang it 6 times. And it's hurting my wrist. Bang, bang, bang. It finally goes. And I banged it a couple more times while I was going. It seemed to speed it up a little bit. Now, the guy told me sometimes, he asked me, does it go out when you're running? I said, no, not yet. He says, because if that was the case, he says he's seen where the plug gets corroded because the motor's drawing too much current, and he has to replace the plug, and what he does, he cuts them off, heat shrinks the wires, and you got to put a new plug on. That's more money. So, I don't think that is. It's never gone out once it's on and I'm driving. It's when I shut the car off and start it again. So twice today, I expect it to be doing it a lot more. So, I just hope it isn't too much because we just don't have the cash. Just don't have it. It's going to wipe out the savings. That's it. So, anyways, I don't want a sad story, so let's end it right there. All right, now, let me show you on this radio here. All right, this is the spoiler I was telling you about. So that's why part 3 is so long because I went in here and I aligned just using on these trimmers here. I just touched my finger when I had the band working, whatever band I was on, and you can, you touch it like this and you can hear the station disappear or fade out. So in other words, I knew which one of these was for each band. So I adjusted the first 3. That's all I needed to do right now. On the HF band, 5 to 15 megacycles, everything's right on the money. Right on. It was off, and the broadcast band was off, so I adjusted all of them just with those trimmers, not the slugs. But on the HF band, it's dead below 7, and the tuning condenser is not shorted because all the other bands work below that range down at the left. So it's dead. Now, I've never heard of an oscillator stopping at a low frequency. They usually stop at a high frequency. So from 5 to 7, when I start going below 7, it cuts out. I mean, you hear hissing a little bit, but less hissing, a lot less. And everything above that works. The broadcast band down in that range works. So much noise though that the broadcast band on this radio isn't all that good. Now this loop stick, this is your broadcast band loop stick. I can get stations when I hold it like this, but this loop stick broke, and I just glued the rod back together. But I was told, I think Jim Asbell told me that once these break, even if you glue them, they're still not going to be, in other words, they're not going to make any difference. So there's a possibility that could be the problem with the broadcast band. But I can put a long wire on the back of the antenna back here, and it'll be fine. All right, I'm dragging this thing on, and it's going to be another huge file. I'm going to be working hours on this thing. I can't seem to keep my video short. This is what I'm talking about here. I glued this last night, and I had to make sure it was lined up. That's what the masking tape is there for. I sawed it off. You'll see that on part number 3. And the notches up here, which I had to do that. I couldn't get the radio in or out of the cabinet. I totally forgot about that being a problem. It just didn't dawn on me. But now the thing is good. The speaker has a tear in it. But I may not try to take that off. I'll tell you why. It's going to be an SOB for me to put those screws back down in, and they go in here and in here, because they're little tiny, tiny, tiny flat head screws. Very, very, very small. And I had a heck of a time getting them out, but I was able to pick this thing up with the screws captured in here. But it's going to be an SOB job trying to get them back in again. You know me with small stuff. But anyways, the way I got this thing now. Okay, so now this thing is no longer flopping around. But yet, what I'm going to have to do, because this is glued now, most of this was broken off inside. You can see where the full length or the full width of this, or length or whatever you want to call it, went all the way to each end. You can see the old glue in there. But on one side it was completely missing, and the other side I took out because it was broken. So I put electrical tape here because when I cut this, it was not a good smooth cut. That saw that I had, that little saw, was dull as hell, and I didn't want to go out and get another blade. So just for the one job I use that, hardly ever use that thing. So it'll give me a straight edge right here and the straight edge here. So when it's on, it don't look too bad. But when the radio goes in and out of the cabinet, it drags on the plastic. And I don't want it to break the glue that I've got in there. Because on the bottom here, it sits on these two metal things here. Alright, so that keeps the glass from touching the pointer. Okay, so I gotta, when I screw this back on, and there's a back brace over here, alright, that goes on that and connects to the speaker, one of the speaker bolts, and goes to the back of the chassis. So that keeps that thing from rocking. This drags, and it's supposed to drag on the bottom of the cabinet, okay? But this has a tendency to hit the bottom of the cabinet too. So I got to do something with that. But at least the thing is not flopping around anymore. It's a crappy plastic. You can see it's got cracks in it. I cleaned it as best I could. The bottom is ugly, the very bottom. I guess there was supposed to be a piece of trim there, but it was gone when I got the radio. So that little border that I put on the bottom of the wooden cabinet covers that up anyways. So this, as I said, is a spoiler. I want to get this up because the weather's cold. I'm not going to do anything outside today. It's windy, it's cold today. Tomorrow being Sunday is supposed to be a lot better. Monday, I got to bring the car up to the garage at 9 o'clock in the morning. Tuesday, I don't know, and he's only one man up there, and he could probably, the car could be tied up for 2 days. I don't know because of his schedule. He did say he'd give me a call if something comes up and he can't do it right away. The thing is getting worse. I just hope it isn't too much money. That's all I can say. So that's it, folks. The other thing is this pilot. Man, these videos are getting too long. I'm sorry. I'm getting as bad as Doug. Actually, I'm worse than Doug when it comes to talking. This is an NE51 here. This gives virtually no light at all. I don't even know why they bother putting it in. It's a 120 volt with a 100,000 ohm resistor in series with it. There's no way I can get light in here because you can't have light here. This kind of like hits the edge of the, this tape is probably going to stay in there. That just held it in place, that masking tape, after I glued it. But you're not going to get illumination on this. The only way you're going to get illumination is to feed the light up underneath between the black metal face and that plastic. In other words, where the dial pointer is. And I could put LEDs in the bottom of the cabinet, but then I'd have to power the LEDs off of the radio, and you'd have a cord coming up. It's a pain in the ass. I'll probably just shine a flashlight in this. I might just take this out. There's no point in having it in there. Put the neon bulb in with my bulbs because I don't have an NE51. So save the bulb in the holder and just disconnect it completely because it serves no purpose. You can't see anything on the dial at all. In the darkened room, nothing shows up. So if it can't light the whole dial, take it out. And obviously you can't put a 47 in here to blow it out. And the current would be too much. You'd have to put a transformer, and there's no room, 120 volts, 6 volts out, and then you can convert this over to a 47. That might give a little light, but I think it'll just be here, so there'll be no light over here. All right, this is it. So this is going to be called the spoiler video, because I spoiled a lot of things that you were supposed to see in part number 3, which is going to take a while because of the weather. I can't drill out the back. Here's the back right here with my tripod sitting on. That I gotta, it's all measured out. I just gotta cut the openings and everything else for the back. That's it, folks. Sorry for the long-winded video. Take care. Keep warm.